Coming up next, we have Gino Terentim, who will be speaking on Cynefin Beyond Decisions. Simultaneously, in Sign Hall, Amit Kulkarni will be delivering his next session. Gino will introduce the Cynefin Framework and its powerful implications for decision making in complex environments. Please welcome Gino to the stage.
Thank you very much. Okay, okay, it's perfect, perfect. Hello, how are you doing? Yes, nice to meet you. And do you have this slide presenter? Yes, nice to meet you. My name is Gino Terentim. First time in my life here, thank you. First time in my life in India. I'm so glad to be here with you. I am making a dream come true tonight, today with my wife here, and thank you for receiving us. And thank you, thank you. Okay, here in Scrum Gathering, we are talking about Agile and Agile transformations and how we can thrive with Agile um, project management or product development, how we can thrive with Agile, how we can achieve the business agility through Agile software or project management or software development. To start this journey today, let me see if okay, yes. For the next minutes, I will go back in time to the origins of Agile, and later we will take a journey using a framework to understand how choosing an approach to develop a project or to manage a project will require adaptation for our organization. So just for me to know how many people here have heard about Cynefin Framework. Okay, we use this framework to drive through transformation. It's very important to talk about change in our last session because you are still talking about change using Cynefin. We will start this journey getting back into the first moment then the word Agile gained relevance for us. In this ngrams, Google chart, ngrams, we can see the relevance of the word Agile over time. Let me try this. Okay. In the first years, or until the late of the 20th century, we can see that Agile, the word Agile, has a low relevance. But in the late of 90s, we started to gain relevance. And the beginning of the 2000s, the relevance is speeded up, like exponential growth. An idea what happens in the first years of the 2000s? Yes, perfect, perfect, perfect. But what was the event that here, in the end of the 90s, started to shift this curve? This was maybe the first evidence of Agile that we have. A paper called the New Product Development Game, or the New Product Development Game, a research conducted by professors Hirotaka Takeuchi and Hikojiro Nonaka from Harvard Business Review, and they tried to understand why some organizations struggle with the new product development process, while another organizations can do it with success. Is there a pattern? Is there a difference between these two groups? And they found a lot of evidences. But one evidence, one of them, is the way that product was developed. Organizations that struggle creating new products using a linear approach, while organizations that have more success in this field are using a feedback-driven approach. And this was the first time that the word Scrum is associated with product development, because they compared the Scrum, the rugby game, with the way that the teams are developing the products. Because a rugby team doesn't plan the entire game in the first step. They plan the next move. And after the next move, they can see what changed in the field. They can plan the next move, and so on. But something is very interesting about this paper. I will do it again, and a lot of times during your next minutes. We are talking about new products. So if a product isn't an end in itself, is a product, if a product is an answer, new products are answers for new questions. They aren't talk about old products, but new ones. New products are answers for new problems. So if the article or the paper is investigating about new products or new problems, it means that we have more than one type of problem in organizations. How many types of problems do we have? And I think that we have at least 3 types of problems. The first one is the known problems, or problems from the past. Problems that already happened. We know how to solve these problems, and we can take the knowledge from the past and put it into practice right now to solve the problem again. The knowledge is still valid. We are talking about problems from the past. We have knowable problems, or problems for the present. Problems that are pretty new, never happened before, so we don't have a solution for this problem yet, or problems that are old, but the solution is no longer valid. Is that a quote or a phrase attributed to Henry Ford, despite he never said this phrase? Is that something like that? If I asked my customers what they wanted, they will ask for faster horses, something like that. The phrase is marvelous, but despite Ford never said it. And this phrase is talking about this kind of problems. Problems that we still have. They are old problems, but the solution, though, is no longer applicable. We need to develop another solution. It's the problem from the present. And we have another type of problems, the unknowable problems, that are talking about questions that we even can figure out. Problems about the future. We can't even know what's the question that we want to answer. So the way to manage this kind of problem, the third kind of problem, is maybe using foresight or anticipatory intelligence or weak signals. It's another kind of projects that we really need to do to understand how to do. But when we are talking about the last article, the new product development game, Hirotaka Takeuchi and Hikojiro Nonaka are talking about the middle one. New problems that requires a new way of developing this problem. That Agile emerges as a solution. So, new problems, knowable problems, new product development game. Later, we will analyze this kind of problems. What are the implications of managing this kind of problems? Dealing with this kind of problems. What's the implications in our organizations? And we will talk about it using a framework called Cynefin. But before of that, I would like to present this quote from George Box. All models are essentially wrong, but some are useful. And all models are wrong because they are simplifications of the reality. And just for that, they are born wrongs, but maybe can be useful. Cynefin is the same thing. Cynefin will be wrong because it's a framework and it tries to understand and simplify the reality, but maybe it can be useful as a lens, And using Cynefin, we can see better how to answer to a question. Cynefin was developed, so Cynefin is a Welsh word that means something like place of multiple belongings, is the best translation of this word. It was developed by a consultant called Dave Snowden in the late of 90s. And despite it looks like a matrix 2 by 2, it isn't a matrix. It's a more organic model. And we have 5 domains, 5 places that a problem or a decision can be. And in that place, we have a framework, or we have a set of configurations, attributes that we can use to answer to that question. So we have 5 places that we can put a decision, and depending on this domain, this place, we have a way of thinking. We have different metrics. We have different managing styles. We have even different size of groups. Let's see. The first domain is the clear domain. And when you have a decision in this domain, it means that you are dealing with a problem from the past, a known problem that has a known solution that already be done in the past, and you still can use this solution, but with detail. We are talking about best practices. And what is a best practice? Something that we used in the past and is still valid, and is there just one answer. Problems in the clear domain has just one answer, and it's the right answer to do. How I can measure my team if I work in this kind of problem? Think with me. If you have a team that work with problems that has just one solution, how is the best way to measure their performance? Are they dealing with the solution or this decision with performance, good performance? Are they taking good decisions? A very good metric is efficiency. If you are always repeating the same process, what means that you are taking good decisions? If you can repeat the process with the same standard of quality and using fewer resources. If you can do it again and again and again, you are doing efficiently, or with efficiency, and doing your decision well. What's the way of thinking when you are dealing with this kind of solution? First, you need to make sense of the problem. After, when you know that the problem has a best practice, you need to categorize the practices, putting the best one on the top, and then you will respond with it. First, make sense of the problem, then categorize all the practices, ensuring that the first practice, the top practice, is the best one, and then you respond with it. Look to this image. We have a tetrahedron here with some information for us. The top circle, this orange circle, represents the leader, and the bottom circles represent the team. A solid line represents a strong dependency, and a dotted line, a weak dependency. Here we are talking about your managing style, your leadership style. So you need to shift your leadership style depending on the nature of the problem. Here, what's the information do we have? Because I have one best practice, and it will be always the same practice, the team they have a strong dependence of the leadership. Someone to tell them how to do and what to do. So a solid line connecting the leadership with the base, with the team. But they have a weak dependency among themselves. Because since we have a best practice, they don't need together to take a decision. We don't need to stay in a design thinking workshop in this case, because is there a solution? You just put the solution into practice. So strong connection between leadership and the team, and a weak connection between the team itself. And what's the size of the group that you can have in this situation? Since we have a process, a very repeatable process and scaled process, you don't have a preset limit. You can work with a large number of people. You have a process, you have a checklist, and if you put the checklist at the hand of people, they can repeat this process all around the world. So you don't have a preset size of the team. You can work with a large number of people. And after I will explain to you this number, this 150 number, because why I put this number here. But we don't have a preset limit. This is the domain of the simplicity. When we work with best practices, when we have a process, a very good defined, well-defined process, what is simplicity? Once you have a process, you need that process is very well documented and communicated for everyone. Everybody needs to know how to put this practice into action. If you are dealing with this kind of problem, clear domain problems, it is a very good question for you. What processes can you automate and standardize to ensure predictability, minimizing variability, and increasing your team's operational efficiency? It's one very good reflective question to you. The second domain is a complicated one, and here we are dealing with another species of problem. It's still a problem from the past, but there is a difference between the best practices and the good practices. Best practices is just one, while good practices, we have a lot of valid practices, a lot of valid solutions. Every solution is still valid, but you need to analyze it to decide which solution I will use. In this case, we are talking first about effectiveness and later about efficiency. Gino, you are talking to me that I need to change the way I measure my team depending on the nature of the problem. And the answer is yes. Tell me, Eliyahu Goldratt in the book, The Goal, for me, one of the best books in my life, if I'm not wrong, in the page 5 or 4, he told that, tell me how you measure me, and I will tell you how I will behave. If you are working in a problem using the metric of other kind of problem, the behavior of your team can be different what you expect. If you are measuring your team using efficiency, and you need to analyze to choose the best option, they are worried to do more for the same. But in this kind of problem, first you will need effectiveness, and later you will need efficiency. It reminds me this quote for Peter Drucker: nothing worse to do efficiently that which should be not done at all. In this case, it's not doing a lot of the same thing, but in the first place, you need to do the right thing first. What's the way of thinking when you are dealing with complicated problems? First, you need to make sense the problem, understand the problem. Later, next, you need to analyze the solutions, the viable solutions, and choose the best one. Who is analyzing it? The specialists. In this case, you need to put people together, the best people together, so they can evaluate the options and choose the best one. The complicated domain is also the domain of specialists. Here, what is expected of you, leader, in this case? Look to the tetrahedron again. We have here a newer configuration of the tetrahedron. First, we still have the leadership in the bottom, in the top, and the team at the bottom, but we only have solid lines. What it means? First, you still need someone on the top to tell you what to do. Why? Why? Because you are talking about past practices yet. Not just one, a lot of past practices, but they already exist. You are not creating another one. You are considering your repertoire and selecting the best practice for that context. So you need options A, B, or C. You will not create a D option, but someone needs to show you what are your limits. But here you also have another situation. You need to connect your specialists. You need to put the right people into the table to talk about, to make decisions. And here we have a question. What's the maximum number of people that you can have in this kind of situation? And the number is presented again, but with another signal. Here we have less than 150. Now I will explain this number. This number is from research conducted by a professor and anthropologist called Robin Dunbar in the late of 90s. And he wanted to respond or answer the question, how many people we can put into a group? And the research was very, very interesting because we associated the size of the neocortex in primates to the number of individuals in a group. And he found something like that. In non-human primates, the size of neocortex follows the size of the amount of individuals in the team. And he extrapolated this research to humans, trying to find if we have this size of neocortex, how many people do we have in a group? And we conducted a research with archaeological excavations and found this number, called the number of Dunbar, about 150 people. And what it means, it's the maximum number of people that you can have meaningful contacts. Meaningful contacts means that I know more than your name. I know your past experiences. I know your values. I know your goals. If you are a trustable person or not, what the things that you have done in the past, and how many people can you remember this amount of information? About 150. And as we are dealing with problems that put people together, you as a leader needs to know the story of the people. You need to ensure that you are putting the right people together to make the decision. As a leader, you need to ensure that your group is not greater than 150 in this case. So, recapitulating, if you deal with clear problems, you have larger groups, you have a strong dependence of leadership and a weak dependence of meeting with people to decide. You need to ensure that the best practice is visible for everyone and very good communicated. If you are dealing with complicated problems, you need to put the right people in the group, in the table, to take a decision. So you need to ensure that you are really involving the right ones. How many people can you establish a meaningful contact relationship? About 150. What's the way you are thinking and acting? Now you sense the problem, make sense the problem, you analyze the possible solutions, the specialists analyze the possible solutions, and you respond with the best one for that problem. Here, one question for you, if you are working with this kind of situation. How can you foster a culture of experts who collaborate and share their knowledge to make data-driven decisions and robust analytics? Here, you as a leader must provide good data to your specialists so they can make good decisions too. In the third domain, we are talking about another kind of problems. Look to the first two domains. The first step is make sense. You are understanding first. We are talking about a rationalist or Cartesian way of thinking. First, we are looking to the world and make sense to the world. But here it doesn't no longer applies. Because we are not dealing with problems from the past. When we are in the complex environment, we are working with problems for the present. Here are pretty new problems. So the response, the answer for these problems are emerging for experimentation, exploration, and probe. Here we adopt a feedback-driven approach in a safe-to-fail environment so the people can try, see what happens, and adjust the next step based on what they saw and not what they're thinking about. What's the best metric for your team? And we are talking about agile teams. If an agile team is measured only by efficiency or effectiveness, we will kill innovation in the process. Because here they are looking for newer solutions, new product development game. Here the game is trying to find the newer solution. And if we use just these metrics, we'll kill the innovation process and kill the creativity of the people that need to find new solutions. So even better than the results, here are the apprenticeship or the knowledge, the learning process. Because if you achieve good results, but without learning in the process, you can't repeat the good result in the future. And if you achieve bad results without learning in the process, you can avoid this bad result in the future. So when you are dealing with newer problems, knowable problems, new problems, you need first to ensure that the learning process that there's a flow of learning process in your team. What's the kind or what's your thinking and acting way? Instead, you start make sense. Now you start probing. A small experiment, a small exploration. See what happens and adjust. So probe, see what happens, and then respond. It's very interesting because when you article, the first paper of Dr. Takeuchi and Nonaka, they are talking about the new product development game. They use this expression that the teams in the organization that succeed in new product development game, they are adopting a try or a try and fail approach. Try and fail approach. Like an exploration approach. Is exactly what happens in the complex environment. Here, we use an explorational approach as we can try newer things, learn and adapt. Are you still getting? Yes, more or less? You can? I will try to walk while I'm starting part two. So let's see what happens in the complex environment. Do you know a game called Warmer or Colder? Do you know? Imagine the person in the dot A are looking for something like that. Imagine I lose my slide presenter and I'm looking for it, but I don't know where is it. But the person in the second stage knows how I can find something that I don't know where is it. But someone can help me. I can't stay in the dot A, in the first dot, doing a big plan. Instead, I need to do a step and ask, is it cold or hot? answer me based on with the knowledge. Oh, it's lukewarm. And now it's hot. And now it's cold. And doing this learning by learning process, maybe I can find the right path and find what I'm looking for. This is the approach that we have in the complex environment. What's happening here? The plan, do, check, and act cycle shifts to another pattern. We will swap these letters, and first we will start doing. Do your step. And then check, hot or cold. Then, based on the response that you receive, adapt your next step. And based on the learning that you receive, your plan starts to emerge. So the plan, do, check, and act cycle shifts to a do, check, act, and plan. And you can tell me, Gino, but to give the first step, you need to do a plan. And it's true, but the plan is in the step level and not in the journey level. You will plan the next experiment, the next hypothesis that you need to try, not the whole journey. It's the agile or adaptive approach. Your plan is in the level of the sprint and not in the level of the whole project. And it enables you to adapt your journey as you walk. Again, talking about the leadership style, you have a weak dependence of a central leadership. Why? Because nobody knows the answer.
Yes.
You can't attribute to your leader the responsibility to tell you what to do. You need to enable the network, enable the team. So for that, we have a strong relationship here. And what means a strong relationship? Look to the number of the people. Here we are talking about best friends. The very big challenge here is that in the complicated domain, do you remember what we do? We have a problem. We will build the team, the specialists, to the project. Here we are talking the opposite. The team already exists because we need to build a very strong relationship. A team that trusts each one. So the project will be allocated in the team and not the team allocated in the project. Because you need to develop this kind of a relationship. Because of it, we are talking about less than 15 persons. Do you remember how many people Scrum recommends?
7 to 10.
Yes, it fits with this theory. We need smaller groups. Why? Because here we have a safe to fail, a psychological safe environment, so people can try different things. It reminds me a jazz band. When the jazz band goes to the stage, they don't have the whole music done. The music will emerge. And we emerge from what? For a series of small mistakes and small adaptations. So smaller that we can even hear the mistakes. We only hear the jazz. But the mistakes are really happening in the speed of light, and they can adapt and adjust even faster. Talking about jazz, it reminds me Miles Davis, one of the most famous jazz musicians. And there was a pianist, there is a pianist called Herbie Hancock. Anybody knows? Herbie Hancock played with Miles Davis for many years. And check out for this history. I don't know, do we have sound here to play a video? That's right. I think I can. But later in your coffee, we can connect and I can show you this video when Herbie Hancock is telling about a story with Miles Davis, and he committed a mistake in the middle of the song. And wow, what will happen? Miles will be angry with me. And not. Miles paused for a second and played some notes that made the chord right. Here in the complex environment, we need to foster a culture that people are responsible to save each other. The old CEO from Lego, Paul, they said that in Lego, we don't punish anybody for their fails. We punish someone for failing for help or ask for help. Here we need to foster a culture and people feel comfortable to ask for help and help everybody. In complex environment, the diversity is the objective. We need to foster diversity of perspectives, and build a strong psychological safe environment. Here, one question for you, if you are dealing with this kind of problem. How you can create an environment of trust, collaboration, and self-organization, where leadership is decentralized and teams feel safe to experiment and learn from real-time feedback. It's not easy. Do you remember Scrum Guide? Scrum is easy to understand, but very hard to implement. Because of that, also, we need to foster this environment. And you don't create this kind of culture in one day to other. You need to invest in this culture. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you. The fourth domain. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. The fourth domain. Some just ons. Here you can't try an experiment. You don't have an environment to try something. In chaos, you need everything is like the first time. It's the crisis environment. What's the best way to measure your team in the chaotic domain? You need to measure damage avoided. You don't have time to think, you don't have time to experiment, you don't have a safe to fail environment, so just do it, act. And then sense, when you act in the chaos, you will sense what will be the answer, what will be the effect of your act, and then you will respond. Another different image here. We don't need a leadership style here because we don't have time to leadership. You need to empower people to take their decisions in this kind of situation. You are in a crisis, so act. What's the size of the team? About 5 people. 5 people is the number of people that have you ever worked with someone that you can know what the person is thinking without even questioning it. You know what people are thinking, you don't need to ask them. It's that kind of relationship. A very, very powerful and strong relationship. Look for this line, this red line in the middle between the clear and the chaotic domain. It reminds us the zone of complacency. When you are in the clear domain, when you have a clear decision, if you fail here, we will fall in the chaotic domain. And if you do this dynamic, it's a catastrophic fail. You don't have a safe to fail environment. Some questions for you, another question for you, if you are dealing with chaotic domain. What signs of complacency can you identify in your team or organization that need to be challenged with quick and creative action to prevent the situation from deteriorating further? If you are dealing with crisis, after responding to the crisis, ask this question. And the fifth and the last one, we talk just for a minute, the confused. Confused is when you have a problem and you can't see in which domain the problem is. It seems like it's in the clear and the complicated and the complex at the same time. And here you have a problem of granularity. You need to gain a better understanding of the problem. collect narratives, trying to understand better and limit, find the lines in the problem that you can fit. Oh, this micro problem is complex. This micro problem is complicated. So you will split your own problem, all problem, into the 4 domains. To finish our conversation here, but I will be available for you so we can share, I want to finish with this quote. I always have a problem with the word luck, because luck for me, after my preparation, now I am depending on luck, is so accidental, so volatile. And after I know this quote from Seneca, one of the Stoics, I reconciliated myself with the word luck. Because Stoics split things in 2 kinds. Kinds that you have control and things that you have control and things that you don't have control. And this quote is very important for me because it says that luck is what happens when preparation, and you have control under preparation, meets opportunity, and you don't have control about opportunity. Events like that, like Scrum Gathering, it's a very good opportunity to our preparation. And I wish you a very good event and a very good preparation, so when opportunity finds you, may the luck flourish to all of you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Let's hear for Gino. And energy. Thank you so much, Gino. I request Mr. Alex Gray to please come with the music.
Oh, thank you. Didn't he do well with the technical challenges?
By the time I request everyone to please provide feedback on Gino's speaking session on the link that you can see through the QR code available on the distribution card.
Sir, look here. One more.
Thank you so much, Gino. Before we move forward,
I think David wants a photo as well. Are you going in the middle?
let me remind you all of the Social Media Champion Award. Social Media Champion Award will be announced at the end of the session. Make sure you are participating in the running. Use